When the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mardochai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go into the king, she required nothing but what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tevet, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained favor and kindness in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head, and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast to all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces, and gave gifts, according to the bounty of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mardochai was sitting in the king's gate. Esther had not yet made known her kindred nor her people, as Mardochai had charged her, for Esther did the command of Mardochai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mardochai was sitting in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bagathan and Tarash, of those that kept the threshold, were wroth, and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing became known to Mardochai, who showed it to Esther the queen, and Esther told the king thereof in Mardochai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, and it was found to be so, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. Esther chapter 3. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagi, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate were ones bowing the knee, and ones bowing down as to worship toward Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mardochai bowed not the knee, and he bowed not down as to worship. Then the king's servants that were in the king's gate said to Mardochai, Why transgressest thou the king's command? Now it was, when they spoke daily to him, and he hearkened not to them, that they told Haman, to see whether Mardochai's words would stand, for he had told them that he was a Yehudi. And when Haman saw that Mardochai was not one bowing the knee, or one bowing down as to worship to him, then was Haman full of wrath. But he thought scorn to lay hands on Mardochai alone, for they had made known to him the people of Mardochai, for what reason Haman sought to destroy all the Yehudim that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mardochai. In the 1st month, which is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, which is the month Adar. And Haman said to King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from those of every people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to cause them rest. If it please the king, let it be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 kakarim of silver into the hands of those that have the charge of the king's business, to bring into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the Agagi, the enemy of the Yehudim. And the king said to Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called in the first month, on the 13th day thereof, and there was written according to all that Haman commanded to the king's Achashadrabans, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the princes of every people, to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and it was sealed with the king's ring. And letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all Yehudim, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. A copy of the writing, that the decree should be given out in every province, was published to all the peoples, that they should be ready for that day. The posts went forth in haste by the king's command, and the decree was given out in Shushan of the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. Now when Mardochai knew all that was done, Mardochai tore his clothes, and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and a bitter cry. And he came even before the king's gate, for none might enter within the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's command and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Yehudim, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.